My favorite science story this week is about blinking. And I always thought that blinking was just something you do to keep your eyeballs wet, but it turns out we blink way too often for that to be the only explanation. We blink so much that our eyes are closed about 10% of the time. And people figured this out by just taking a picture of a crowd and counting how many people had their eyes closed in the picture. It was about 10%. And subsequent studies in the decades since have shown that that's an accurate number. So we don't need to be closing our eyes that much. Why would we do it? And a new study suggests the answer is because it helps us see better. And I couldn't figure out why having your eyes closed 10% of the time would help you see better, but it turns out the magic happens when you're opening your eyes again after you blink. It's not that everything gets dark and then light again. It gets dark and then the light comes back up and your eyeball is exposed to increasing levels of light before it comes back to ambient. And that happens every single time you blink. And there are certain contrasts that you can't see when they're fully illuminated. You can only see when your eyes are opening and the light's dimmed a little bit. So researchers figured this out by having people look at things and measuring how well they performed when they were blinking in those moments when the eyes were coming back open. Then to check and see if it was just a psychological phenomenon, they told people when to blink, and the same thing happened. People could actually see these contrasts better when they were blinking, even though they were not choosing when to blink. And then the third piece was the researchers actually just dimmed the lights in the room and turned them back up in a way that would simulate blinking. So people kept their eyes open and the whole room blinked. And even with that, they were able to see these high contrast or these low contrast differences in a way they couldn't see if there was no blinking going on. So blinking doesn't do the thing. I mean, it does keep our eyeballs moist, but that's not really why we blink so much. We actually blink a lot so that we can see better. And once you start thinking about it, you become hyper conscious of how much you blink. So, anyway, that's one of my favorite 5 science stories this week. Every week I round up 5 of them, and I'm only telling you about one. The only way to find out about the other 4 is to sign up for my newsletter. It's called The Bat Signal. Just go to followthebatsignal.com.